You are now listening to the Minority Trailblazer Podcast. Let the story begin.
One time for the lovers, 2 times for the ladies, 3 times for the brothers, 4 times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 1 time for the lovers, 2 times for the ladies, 3 times for the brothers, 4 times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin. Hold me down.
Welcome to the Minority Trailblazer Podcast, and I'm your host, Greg E. Hill, the culture change agent. On this show, we interview young, successful minorities in a variety of fields to educate, empower, and inspire our current and future generation of leaders. And today, I got a show for you. It's going to be a classic, man. Season 7's all been classics, man. Shout out to y'all, man. Round of applause. Hey, DJ, get a round of applause. Thank you, man. Shout out to Season 7. All the love has been crazy, man. I'm really excited. One, because she's from Durham. Man, Bull City stand up. Anytime I have somebody from Durham on the podcast, it's always love, man. And she's really trill about her. She for the culture. So I'm going to read a snippet of a bio, and then we're going to jump right into it.
Yeah, I'm ready. Thank you,
man.
Greg.
Hey, I love the background.
I'm happy to be here.
Is that like the wall, or you have like a green screen? What is that?
Listen, it's a little bit of COVID.
To it. Season 8.
See, this is my partition, so you can't see all of that in the background.
And I'm always jealous, man, because it's crazy. People don't know this. I don't really tell the story, but my junior year A&T, I actually almost left college and went to was it Sacramento Actors Conservatory Theater? I think Denzel went there before, like that. Like I really, I wanted to be an actor. I was like, yo, I think it's ACT. American Conservatory Theater.
American Conservatory Theater.
Yep. I almost left school.
Denzel went to Fordham, and
it was Samuel, one of them, Daniel Glover, one of them guys. And I was like, yo, let me do that. But then I got a cold dose of reality. One, I was like, well, shoot, let me just make money. I just produce my own stuff and write myself in. And then two, I realized like one of my young brothers, Keon, he's out there, he's acts, and he told me about an audition, like, yo, how it, like, you think you cool, you think you handsome, whatever, and then there's like 100 people that look just like you, and it's like even better than you, and I'm like, bro, I thought it was like, hold up, you got a little sauce, you go out there, you can make it. Like, it's more to the story. And I didn't realize, like,
it is.
Hold up, there's a lot of takes. Like, it's not just, okay, you get one thing, it's different angles. Like, and I was like, bro, do I really want to do that? Now, let me just, so.
Yeah. Patience is a virtue. For real.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right in. First, we always start the show off with a quote. So if you could share with us a quote or a mantra that you live by, and then a story within the last month of how you applied that quote or mantra to your everyday life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of quotes and mantras that I live by, but one that resounds like in the back of my head quite often, and I used to have it on my wall when I was in grad school, but it is to not mourn the past or anticipate the future, but live in the present earnestly and honestly. And that's a quote that keeps you present, that keeps you where you are, and keeps stress and anxiety down, because you're not worried about, oh, I got to get there, or, oh, what happened back then? You're here. And that's where you are. That's the only place you can be, truly, is in the present. So in the last few weeks, months, I've applied that a lot, just because, it's a lot happening in our world right now. And 2020 is real. And I've been protesting. I've been traveling. I obviously, COVID happened in the middle of shooting a season 2 of my show. So I'm anticipating, there's much to anticipate with finishing the show. But at the same time, we're dealing with a very real pandemic in the present. And at the same time, things have happened in the last few months that have been quite horrific, to witness and to be a part of. And so all that, is swarming around me, and it's incumbent upon me to be present and to meditate. And so that's what I've been doing in the midst of everything.
Yeah, that's really, it's crazy, man. It's really crazy. I was just thinking the other day, I'm like, man, like a lot of stuff is really happening, right? So you have all these things, and then even from a family perspective, like life is still happening. People still getting arrested. People still going to jail. Then unfortunately, people are passing away from COVID, passing away from other things. Then you have from a societal level, Kobe Bryant, then Chadwick Boseman, and then I'm like, it's
all.
And then election coming up, the election.
And then exactly. And we're all anticipating the election. I don't think you can get around anticipating the election, but yeah.
And then unfortunately, we still, and with all these news grabs, even on local level, there's some important down ballot stuff that needs to be, when I say down ballot, like, the judges, the stuff that really locally really make
the mayors, the judges, the AGs, the everything.
And they're going to get, and like, that's why I'm working on some other stuff. They're going to continue to slide under the radar because now there's so much, but this ain't a political podcast. So we're going to jump right into it, man. Question. I always try to find the post of the guests before we jump in because I've been doing it for a long time, 7 years. And back in the day, I used to jump in all excited and I realized like the guest's father passed. Or one of the guests had like $1 million contract and they let me know at the end of the show. I'm like, bro, like you ain't let me know before. We could have cooked on that. So if you can kind of share one word to describe the last week or the last 7 days, what would it be and why?
Yeah. One word to describe the last 7 days. Prayerful. The last 7 days, within the last 7 days, I spent 26 hours praying.
26 hours.
26 hours of a fast and praying. Yeah.
How you do that? Like, who's the timekeeper in that? Like, what is those? Golly, okay, break that down. Yeah.
So, Breonna Taylor, right? Louisville, Kentucky. That when I say I've been protesting, that's one of the main things that I've been getting behind as, just as a American citizen concerned about what happened to Breonna Taylor in Louisville. And I've spent over the last month about 3 weeks in Louisville, back and forth. But the 26 hours was it was called Prayers for Breonna, a fast for justice. So we fasted and we did 26 hours of prayer. And the 26 hours was inspired by the 26 years of life that Breonna lived before she was killed by the Louisville Metro Police Department officers. And it was like anything I've ever been a part of. I've never prayed for 26 hours before. Now, you know what I mean? Like I pray in the morning when I wake up. I pray, I pray before I get into bed at night. Like my great grandmother taught me to do. But 26 hours is a different kind of experience, especially when you're talking about, we did it virtually. It was a virtual event. And leaders from all over the country, rabbis, imams, priests, pastors, everybody joined in at different hours from the different organizations or churches and offered prayer. And it was like consistent. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to talk about this and then somebody's going to pray. It was just one person after the next, passed the baton of a different prayer over our country, over her family, over her friends, everybody that loved her, over the grand jury that's deliberating right now about whether to indict the officers, over Daniel Cameron himself, who was the AG Attorney General in Kentucky. And, but also over everybody's spirits that are dealing with this very real pandemic that is like racism.
Yeah. It's a everlasting pandemic.
But it doesn't have to be. But it has been for the last 401 years. I just be thinking, and even before. Don't
you ever think, like, even from Hollywood, even a corporate perspective, right? Everybody has these diversity inclusion things, which I get. But then I'll be like, is the answers that deep? Do we need to have a whole committee? Nah, like, it ain't that deep. Why do you think orgs do this stuff?
Well, you said, why do I think they do the
like they create this pomp and circumstance when it's like, there's some subtle things you have to do as a person that you can alleviate all that.
For sure. But, I think that is your unique perspective and experience in life, my unique perspective and experience in life. But just like, I don't know, the coronavirus itself, like if you experience it, if you don't have family and friends who have the virus, some people just decide it doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have to have some kind of formal education around what the virus is, how it's contracted, how to stop it, how people are impacted by it. If you don't, if you've never come in contact with the virus, i.e., if you never come in contact with racism, oppression, and you don't know what it looks like, you don't know how it's spread, you don't know, you know what I mean? Like you don't, or how it's distributed within systems in your own business. It could be right in your face, like the virus, and you not know it, right? So like, I think that's part of why people get around it. And then, of course, there's the other part of it where it's like, oh, we're doing this for show because you want those Black and brown dollars, right? And that can be the pomp and pompous of it, but I got you.
So let's jump right into it. We're gonna break down this show into like 3 layers, and we gonna hit it. We got like a strong 40 minutes, right? And we gonna get it. So, the first layer is the cultural and personal. So I'm gonna get to the acting in the middle part, right? But right now, what's pressing, we're talking about some cultural and personal things, then hit the acting, and then talk about future, right? But before we do that, we got to spend a little moment in the present. So, can you share with our audience, man, from your mouth, who you are and where you come from?
Okay, well, I'm Lauren. Elizabeth is my middle name. Lauren E. The E stands for Elizabeth Banks, right? The Lauren, a name my parents chose. Elizabeth is my great grandmother's name. It is the anchor of who I am because I was so close to her growing up. Like I said, this woman taught me how to pray. At 70-something years old, she got down on her knees every night. Wow. Even though it took her a lot of time to get down on her knees and a lot of time to get up from the ground. As a kid, I watched her do that. And just talk to God and talk to our ancestors. And that is really the middle and the part of me that is just for me. I put the E there just as a reminder to keep myself spiritually grounded and always aware of myself in space and time, right? The Banks is, representative of my parents and the people that I come from. I'm from North Carolina. I'm from Durham. My dad is from Edenton, North Carolina. My mom is from Goldsboro, North Carolina. We are North Carolina through and through. We got Croatian Native American in our family. So like before North Carolina was North Carolina, we were there, right? Indigenous people. I love my home. I love my state. I grew up an only child. But I have a 14-year-old brother. He's now 15, goes to Hillside High School where I went to.
Shout out to Hillside. Shout out to Dr. Logan. Shout out to Doc, man.
Shout out to Dr. Logan.
That's my guy.
My guy as well. I just emailed him the other day because I was like, Dr. Logan, I need to use the parking lot for voter registration. What's up? Come through. But yeah, I mean, and then I'm an artist and I'm a deeply sensitive person and I'm very curious about the world and about myself and the people around me. So, I mean, it's a little bit about who I am.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of layers to peel back. I'm a Capricorn, so there's a lot of layers to peel back.
So let's, before we jump into the culture and kind of jump into the work you be doing in Louisville, because I mean, first when I told your team you and Louisville, I said, "Yo, she's an actor. Like, how has she got so much time to be protesting? Like, did she stop acting? Like, I'm just trying to figure that out." So I want to kind of to jump
That's
into
so funny.
But I would be remiss to overskip, man. The real HU, some would say Howard, man, and then
HU,
And then Yale. So give me 2 things the 2 of the biggest things that you got from your experience at Howard University, and then talk about 2 things that you got from your experience at Yale University, where you got your MFA from.
Yeah, I mean, Howard is a special place. We call it the Mecca, okay? The hilltop. We do. You laugh. But
I'm a Aggie, but I'm gonna let it cook.
You know how we do.
Yeah.
I know how y'all Aggies do, and you know the relationship that exists between us.
Yeah.
But it's nothing but love because it's the HBCU.
We support Black colleges.
And Howard, I chose Howard. Yes, exactly. I chose Howard because, I wanted to study as an artist, as an actor. I wanted to, therefore, invest in work that I could play roles that look like me or the fabric of the culture that I come from, of worlds that I believe in, that I know, that I can align with. And I knew that school, specifically HBCU, would give me that experience. And also, going to college, I think there's a misconception about going to colleges and like you got to get ahead or go to a PWI so you can get to know how to work with them, right? Those kind of ideas about the ways in which, quite frankly, systematic racism works against you and how you can work around it. But I honestly believe that you go to college to find out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time living outside of your parents' home. It's the first time that you get to make 100% of your own decisions about your daily life. And you want to go to a place that can embrace you and love you and support you and, understand your experience to push you as far as you can go. And that's what I anticipated that Howard would be. That's what Hillside was for me.
Yeah.
So, it was what it was. And the biggest takeaway was just the diversity among, what it is to be Black.
Yeah.
I remember getting to Howard and we had a thing called Rep Your City Bash for freshman orientation. And everybody in North Carolina was, when North Carolina songs came on, were very different than the Texas people.
Yeah.
The Texas people were very different than the West Coast, like hyphy people.
Different.
You know what I mean? Like
DC people, the go-go.
The go-go, right? Which was a whole other thing, which is, I love go-go.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then the Afro Latinos that were there, or the Caribbean, Caribbean people
so many
that were there
different
when
vibes.
music came on. And I was like, damn, being Black is so damn dope. Which we knew, but it's just a special thing. And that's something that an experience that is unique to the HBCU experience, I think, and that I took forward with me. And then the other thing was just specifically from the theater program, they trained us to be business. They trained us in the fashion of business show, not show business. They trained us to be professionals and know that we were like essentially the CEOs of our own companies as actors. You forward your life, you forward the opportunities, you cultivate, what it is you're doing. You're an entrepreneur. You're not work. You don't show up to work every day in a building. You show up, you wake up and you do your craft.
Yeah.
So I still apply those lessons today.
And now walk us through Yale and a quick tangent on Yale and that I after when I first thought I was gonna go and be an actor, I did research. I'm a big research person. And I didn't realize that a lot of talented actors really did go to school for it. Like they didn't just wake up and just say, boom, we going. Like I'm looking at some of the best and I'm like, hold up, whoa. They really like got into the grittiness of it. So speak to yourself on why you chose to go that route. Cause you got Howard, boom. And then you chose to go even to Yale and really continue to define your craft.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I went to Howard and truly it was like my junior, I was at Howard. I was, in the program, getting my BFA. Woo-woo, but I had a significant amount of preparation coming from Hillside with Mr. Tab, Window Tab.
Oh man, shout out to the bruh. Yo.
Yeah, you Alpha?
Yeah, what? Of course.
Why didn't I know this? My father's Alpha, my uncle's Alpha, everybody in my family Alphas.
Yeah.
And my aunt, they're one siblings, aka I'll give you a funny story about Mr. Tab because he essentially pledged me when I was on the first day of school, when he found out who my parents were because he pledged my father Alpha at Carolina. And so he was like, oh, so you want to do this for real? Okay, get up. And, he just tested me right on the spot. But honestly, that test in that class, I had a very kind of cathartic experience that let me know, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like acting is my gift. And I'm right. It's just, a moment in time where everything just goes really still and you just feel like, oh, got it. Say no more. And I'm moving forward kind of thing. So that was the kind of experience that I had. But to your question about why I chose, therefore, to go to Howard and then continue to go to Yale was that I had another similar experience my junior year at Howard. in a class with Al Freeman Jr. He played Elijah Muhammad in the Malcolm X movie.
Wow.
And Al Freeman, we were just in class, and I was doing, I think, a Doll's House scene, an Ibsen play. And he said, he was pushing me, and I was really frustrated because at that point I was like, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to Hollywood after, I'm going to LA after, as soon as I'm finished. And I've been doing this for almost 10 years at that point, theater in general. And I thought I was ready, but something kind of opened up in a moment of scene work that said, oh, wait, what I just learned in this hour with this teacher just opened up a whole nother world to where I think I can go as an actor.
Wow.
And what I can do as an actor, transformation wise, just how higher I can go, how more vast I can become, and how deeper my instrument can be. And then I said, oh, okay, well, I can do that in grad school, because before I thought grad school was just kind of like a cop out. People were scared to go into the world. So they're like, I'm gonna go to grad school and kind of go into a bubble. And I was like, I'm not scared, I'm ready to go. But then that kind of moment said, oh, if you go to grad school, you'll have a concentrated focus, 24 hours, 7 days a week on this craft. And you won't have to worry about a liberal arts background, which, all the things that come with being in college. But yeah, so that's why I said, I'll go to Yale so that I can focus specifically on the transformations, like the voice work, the physical transformations, in having a voice coach, having a singing coach, having a movement coach, all the things that a grad program allows you to have.
It's crazy how TV or just life in general will make it look and think as if it's easy. Not easy, but you can just show up, you got talent, and that's enough. But it's like, it's so much specialists that go into creation, like on certain mediums, right? I mean, even the best mediums, but let's think about it. Like, I mean, we're not there yet, but imagine a set, right? Now, and my line brother, he's out there, he's a cinematographer, and I walked in the set with him one time, and I was like, yo, I never would have thought, like, there's 6 people on lights. This is a regular commercial shoot, right?
Exactly. At least.
This ain't even a Hollywood production. This is a shoot for like Barefoot Bubbly. They're doing a commercial. 6 people on lights. They put $30,000 on lights.
Yep.
50 grand on like this. And I'm like,
at least
for a commercial. A commercial. And I'm like, yo, and there was like 20 people in the room. And this is a COVID joint. It's like, this is a light crew. I said, so what does a movie look like? So, I'm like, yo.
That times a jillion. Yes.
And then I'm
like that. And also, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, and all of those people also went to school and trained to just focus on lights. Like, I had a makeup class at Howard that was just, we spent hours, 8 hours per face, per look, just to figure out how to do old age makeup. Like, each of those people spent hours upon hours, thousands of hours. I think they calculated it like 15,000, 20,000 plus hours or something, for the grad school education. But it's also like, do you want to just get famous, or do you just want to have a job, or do you want to have a career? Do you want to have a lifetime of work? I recognize Al Freeman as the person that had a lifetime of work, like Cicely Tyson, a lifetime of work, right? Like, and that's what I want. And so in order to do that, in order to not just do something right, good, and do many things well and have an instrument that is flexible, then I was like, okay, I can invest 4 years. I can invest 3 years of concentrated time. And
I love, I want our audience to, I know we're talking about acting, we're talking about this, but I want y'all to take away one key thing that you said is a career and a lifeline of work. Like it's a legacy. It's an energy behind really understanding and wanting to be phenomenal what you do. And I think we do live in a culture, and this is, everybody's heard it before, where you can go online, there's 10 people to tell you how to get 6 figures, 10 people to tell you how to scale your 7 million coach. There's 10 people to tell you how to do this and that and that. And all these influencers, right? So I think the value of really putting your head down and honoring your craft is kind of, I'm not always going to harp on the bat, but it's kind of lost a little bit because everybody wants to do stuff so fast and it's scary, right? Yeah,
you're right. You're right. It is scary. Yep. And I feel like, teach his own, but I ask myself often, I was like, and I ask my friends this whenever they forget, because we have to remind each other. It's like, do you want to be, would you rather be a rising star or a shooting star? Like, because even after you go out of grad school, there's some people that are just doing things like fast, or people that didn't go to grad school, right? And they just went straight to the beat. And now they got this movie and they're in such and such's new movie and wherever. And that's a trajectory. And not to say that they won't also have a lifetime of a career, but, sometimes people are like, oh, I could do that, because I spent so much time and I know what I'm doing. But, and I ask myself, I can find myself saying the same things, but at the same time, it's like, the sun is a star as well. And it shines and it shines and it shines, and there's certain shooting stars that are like, phew, and that's done, yeah. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful too. Everybody has their own track. And another quote I would live by is like, run your race. Cause I ran track at Hillside and it's just like, run your race. Run your race.
And hopefully this interview is just a reminder that even the people that's been following this podcast, like this year in 2020 is when everything finally clicked. It's been clicking. Like we done spoke at Harvard. We did the world tour. We done did that. But it's like this year when, and I always had the vision, but now it's all starting to correlate because as far as financially, as far as putting the pieces together, as far as the industries we'll be able to touch. And it took 7 years. Yes. Like 7 full years, like to really kind of, but I said, yo, if I execute it and we get there, then we'll be, me and my team will be able to eat forever. And it's like now it's like it all, and I didn't do no ads, no nothing. And even with you in your career where, and I know you're just getting started, right? You're really just, I mean, would you even say you're getting started? I mean, and I don't want to disrespect all the hard work you put in already, right? But what would you say even in your career kind of, no, let me get deeper. Unpack the career as a human, right? And as an adult. Sure. Because society tells you at 18 you're an adult, but it's like, so where are you at as an adult as far as your understanding of yourself, the culture, and then your impact on the culture as yourself? That is deep, boy. Damn, that's good.
Look, I'm gonna clap you up. That was great. I mean, I'm so glad you asked that question because I'm right. I feel like same. Like I'm right. This year in particular, I feel like I've grown so much. And I thought I was a butterfly before, but I was like, no, but I was still like a caterpillar, you know what I mean? And I had a little bit, or maybe I was, in the cocoon, but now, particularly this year, I just kind of feel like I stepped into my power and owning the fullness of who I am, because you talked about it earlier. You're like, is she an activist? Like, is she out here in these streets? Is she an actor? And the thing that I found at Howard, that I found at Yale, that I had a tendency to do, for example, at Hillside, I was I first was an athlete before I was like an actor. I acted at Shepherd, shout out to Shepherd, but Shepherd Middle School, but I acted first, and then and then 7th grade, you could play sports. So then I was like, I'm about to play basketball, point guard. I'm with all my friends. And then I was playing basketball. I was running track and I was doing cross country. And then, acting fell to the wayside. And the teacher said, you're letting go of your gift. And I was like, I don't know what a gift is. And I'm with my friends and I'm having fun. Fast forward, high school, I'm doing this thing. I'm involved with student government and I'm president of student government and doing different things, but also acting and also playing sports. And, and then I started to shift and concentrate on acting after my junior year and not so much sports. And then I get to college and it's just full on acting. And then, but I had leadership positions because I was the SGA, but I also was the president of the theater, the drama club. I'm saying all of this to say that I think the thing that my parents, I appreciate my parents for, because they allowed me to experience all the things and to follow my talents or my gifts, right? Or the things I was even just curious about, whether I was gifted at them or not. But they opened up for me an understanding of what my strengths were, right? Which is critical to figuring out what it is you want to do in life, which is critical to just moving through life, knowing what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and then being able to find the moments and the critical moments of time to focus those strengths and weaknesses, right? To focus on those things and grow them. And then after I was so fatigued after high school because I was doing the most, right? Yeah. And then I was like, I just want to go to Howard. I just want to focus on this thing. But then, of course, I would offer up ideas and somebody would say, I think you really should be the Howard Players president. And I'm like, no, thank you. I'm good. I'm just going to be an actor, right? And they were like, no. And then there was a great need for leadership for Howard Players. And I had a vision and I shared it with my friends and we were sitting around, complaining. And then we just said, well, why don't we just do it, right? Yeah. And then I left Howard saying, I just want to concentrate on acting and go to Yale. And what did I do? Go to Yale and then found that, there was this program, Black student affinity group called Folks, 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 that Angela Bassett started when she was a student at Yale. Wow. And back in the 80s. Yeah. And at the time it wasn't Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, but things were happening with Freddie Gray and Mike Brown and Ferguson. And here we are, Black artists in a white institution, and we're trying to concentrate, but the world is burning down around us. And we're like, there was a great conflict. And it was like, okay, well, this is a place for us to be together. This is a place for us to talk about things. This is a place for us to use our talents and our gifts to impact the world around us and not feel like we're so torn between so many things. Mm-hmm. And so then somebody said, you should be the president of Folks. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I say all of that to say that what I'm learning is, there's room and there's space for you to just be everything that you are. And you don't have to choose to say, oh, I'm just this one thing, right? Because also in the meantime, I was writing, I was directing, and you want to, I think I'm just now getting to a place literally in this year where I'm like, I'm developing a TV show as we speak. Like, you know what I mean? Like I directed a pilot. A short film at the top of the year. And when I care about shit, I'm gonna say something about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if it moves me to Louisville, Kentucky to work alongside activists, because I'm not an activist, I'm an ally. You know what I mean? I respect career activism. That is a real thing. They wake up every day to think about and visualize a better future and specifically be on the front lines and on the grounds. But I respect that. And I organized, at Howard, the DC Million Hoodies March for Trayvon Martin. I have those skill sets. I have those strengths. And then you can use them when you need to. So what I'm learning is just be you. And it's okay. You know what I mean? And there's room for all of you.
And it's crazy you say that. 3 weeks ago, I was at Connecticut, actually at Yale, not Connecticut. Where's Yale at? Yale's in Connecticut, right?
Connecticut.
One of my fraternity brothers, Dr. Stephen Alsop, this dude got an MIT and PhD from Harvard. Like, dude is a different dude, right? And we were just chopping it up. And this dude, he is a musician that raps, right? And he says the N-word in his raps. Talks crazy, right? Not crazy but he just has a vibe. And then he'll do that. And he also runs a virtual school academy for his 2 children that he runs. And not just for 2 children, but he's doing up co-found this huge learning environment called the Love Academy. It's kind of crazy. It's really dope. And then after he does that, he goes and he's in the hospital with the white coat on. I was like, yo, they don't say nothing about how you rap. He's like, yo, no, I'm just living fully. I'm just me. I'm like, how do you do all that? You a parent? You did? I'm like, bro, and I was like, yo, that's really dope because society will tell you be great at one thing. It's like, why can't I just be great at Lauren Banks? You feel me? Lauren E. Banks. That's it.
Exactly.
They want to tell you just to act. It's like, hold up, but damn, can I do anything else?
Just shut up and dribble. It's just I'm a person and human beings are complex and multifaceted. And that's a beautiful thing. So just be that. So that. So yeah, that's what I'm learning. That's where I'm at.
We had a great opportunity, our first conversation, to talk about just in general, kind of how we wanted to scope the show. And one thing that stood out to me is use this analogy called good trouble. I don't know where you got it from, but can you kind of explain what the analogy is and what it really means to you?
Absolutely. I mean, I got it from John Lewis. Congressman John Lewis, former president of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, right? Who passed in August. Yep. No, July. He passed in July. Gosh, what month is it?
Man, I don't know. I don't know what day or month.
John Lewis coined the phrase, or coined the term "good trouble." Good trouble, necessary trouble. as you know, John Lewis was an activist alongside Martin Luther King and heavily in the civil rights movement, and known for being one of the people who were brutalized and victimized on the bridge, in the John M. Pettus Bridge in Selma, and their march. And I only say that to say John Lewis coined good trouble. And when I first went to Louisville to protest with Until Freedom and Tamika Mallory and the team on behalf of Breonna Taylor, I was arrested for the first time. And if you know John Lewis, you know he's been arrested over 30 times, and not just arrested, 30 felonies, right? For the sake of the civil rights movement. And ironically, that we were arrested on a Tuesday, which was Good Trouble Tuesday, we protesting on the lawn of Daniel Cameron, the Attorney General. And we spent 20 hours in jail, and we got out. And we got out to learn that we had a felony charge, 2 misdemeanors, which were trespassing and a trespassing charge, a disorderly conduct charge, and a felony charge. The felony charge blew everybody away because it was like, what? Felony for a non-violent protest where we sat in, a seated lotus pose of, position of peace, just chanting. A felony. How does that match up? Of course, those charges were dropped. Those charges were actually dropped the same day that John Lewis passed.
Wow.
Which is weird. And I was in prayer that day. I was walking down the street, Hollywood Boulevard, I think, and I was like, all right, God, they say this felony, we could be facing 1 to 5 years for this protest if convicted. And it just didn't hold up. The whole idea was that the chant about burning down the system, they suggested that that was associated with burning down Daniel Cameron's home. And of course, there was no correlation between the two. That is an age-old chant, and it was a far cry and stretch for that, right? And then they also said that us sitting on the lawn was implied force.
Wow.
And that we were therefore intimidating a person and involved in a criminal a judicial proceeding. That particular charge is used to protect people who are jurors or who are witnesses and are truly violently stalked and threatened, which is none of what we did. And of course, the state of Kentucky dropped those charges, right? Anyways, that is to say, we did trespass on his lawn, right? And that is breaking the law. And the idea is that when you break the law, you get in trouble, right? Mm-hmm. But there are certain things, particularly as it relates to the civil rights movement, particularly as it relates to nonviolent action, as it relates to civil disobedience, that you have to participate in, that is potentially breaking a law, but for the greater good. And, quite frankly, Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman were breaking the law of the United States when they were going to get their family members out of bondage. And I would say that was really good trouble. And, there's just certain things that you have to do where it's like, you get in trouble, but it's for a good cause. And I think that's the spirit that John Lewis led with, and certainly the energy that he left on the ground when he died that week.
Yeah.
He and C.T. Vivian. So, yeah.
Man. So you as a person that is in a variety of spaces, interacts with a variety of different energies, how do you stay centered and focused, focused and uplifted throughout these times? Like, how do you do it?
I meditate a lot. I meditate. Like I told you, I actively praying, but also what is really helpful to me is to creating my own definition of what success is. And because that allows me to have a barometer and a compass really on where I'm going where I am I going in the right direction? Should I go in a different direction? And my definition of success is doing work that I believe in with people that I believe in. That helps me make sure that I'm doing a project such as City on a Hill. If I say yes, if they're like, well, we love her, we love to have, work with Lauren. And I say, yeah, I would love to do that. Is this a project that I believe in? Is this work that I believe in? And are the people from the executive producers to the writers, people that I believe in? All right, cool. I'm down. And if it's not that, then I'm in the wrong place and time or space and time. And, so whether it is protesting, whether it is doing a voter registration drive, is like, is this work that I believe in? And, is it with people that I believe in? This podcast right now, like I'm centered, I'm with you, I'm present with you because I know, it's something that I believe in terms of sharing stories. And it's with somebody I believe in because you're from Durham.
So, question on that, slight tangent is how often do you reassess that success barometer? Because I know people say that all the time, but it's like you probably said that in 29, not 29, but like a year ago, 2 years ago. And how often do you reassess what success looks like for you?
Well, I came, for example, that mantra, that understanding came to me, I want to say literally right before the show got picked up. So that would have been 2018. And I assess that barometer. I consider it every time I think about it, every time I have to make a decision, truly.
Gotcha.
Does this still apply? Is this still relevant? Does it still serve me? But, so far kept me, on par. Of course, it'll change as my life changes in radical ways. For example, when I have children, right? Like, what does that look like? What does a family look like? I'm sure life and death, can change that. But right now, I'm coasting with what this is.
Because it's for some, and even for myself, sometimes it's hard in the moment. Sometimes to check in, like, hold up, should I be doing this? Like, does this align? And especially when the opportunity looks alluring.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No. But I have see. That's why, thankfully, like creating a daily practice of something that always centers you can keep you from being caught on a thread or chasing something, and then you look up and like, whoa, wait, how did I get here? Right? Because of the shiny object that took you away. So I always, have to be honest with myself at the end of the night when I'm like, all right, thank you for these things. Thinking about these things, or I'm meditating and, something's just not right with me, or, just things to recenter me. Because when I'm not praying, when I'm like, oh, dang, I ain't prayed in 4 days. Why do I feel so crazy? It's because I've been following this thread and I haven't been focused on, I haven't had like any kind of metronome to just center me and, keep me balanced.
So always find that for our audience, find that North Star. I don't know what it looks like for you, but always have a North Star and revisit it daily. Just like you look in the moon every night, like look at it. I really think there is power in journaling, there's power in meditating, but because you have to reassess consistently and look at things. Because if not, you can wake up and unfortunately a lot of us do, majority of people in the world do. You wake up and you 60 and you looking like, hold up, if God allows you to see 60, you're going to be looking like, bruh, like some people, I see it all the time. They're like, hold up, man. Like I done drifted this way. Even our parents, I done seen even my father. My father, we okay now, but he drifted for 21 years. Like how we do that? Like, but it can happen.
It happens.
It happens. Especially in the Black community. We don't talk about a lot of stuff. So stuff just drift. You feel me?
Ooh, and if you don't talk about it, that's what I'm saying. You got to talk about it as somebody. Also, therapy. I started therapy in the last year. It's dope as shit. I'm like, damn, this is the shit. I mean, it's like I literally, when I was going to it in person, I left skipping down the street. Like you couldn't tell me like everything was possible, right? Like every time I left. And that, and not that's not going to be everybody's experience every time, depending on what kind of therapy you're doing. But that's also a check-in. Like whatever you're checking, like you say, whatever your North Star is dope. My parents also like my North Star. I'll talk to them. They'll let me know when I'm like doing something and they're like, oh, I don't know about this.
So let's switch it. Let's go straight into acting real quick. All
right.
What are some things that happen in production or in the creation of films that people, if you're not in the space, that they're unaware of, right? Because you just see finished products, you see some behind the scenes, but I think there's so much other things that go on behind the scenes that most normal people wouldn't aware of. So since you're here and from your lowest of experience, like educate us on a few things that we may not know.
Well, I think a lot of, especially for actors, I think there's so many things, so many factors that go into why or you do or don't get a role that you just don't know until you know, or you don't know until you're on the other side of the table actually making those decisions, that you're like, oh, like, when I'm directing and I'm auditioning people, and then I'm like, I really love this girl's work. She had the best audition, right? But this person works better for the ensemble, right? This person had the best audition. This person had a really good audition. And they also happen to work best for the ensemble, right? And people as actors particularly can walk away from an audition like, I did the best I could do and they still don't want me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And the truth is, you're not doing anything wrong. It had nothing to do with you. Quite literally, had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with the fact that the other person that you were being cast opposite was 5 inches shorter than you, right? Or something, you know what I mean? Like, wow. And that just, didn't look right? Or scheduling, right? Or so many things. And especially when you're first starting out and you're young, and I mean, I know I'm young, I'm like not 30 yet, but you're still like, but I know kids also start in this industry, you know what I mean? Like, and you don't know, and they don't know these things. And so I think it's really critical to know that, every decision is not based on merit all the time, but it may be based on something that's better for the project. And that's not something that you can take personal. But the other things that happen behind the scenes are like the goofy shit that happens on set. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we have a lot of fun. It's like adults at summer camp on set. Like, but I think social media actually is allowing people to see more of the behind the scenes things. I don't know about you, but like growing up, one of my favorite things to watch was like Access Hollywood, or like making a video.
Man, it's just like, wow. Like, you get to see people
making them. Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. One thing I did want to add for a takeaway, and I think this is critical for everybody, and it's from business. I don't care what. It's not always about you, right? In any situation we go into, and we're like, we didn't get the job, we didn't get the contract, or this relationship didn't work out, or even if it does, like we live in, like, there's a 7 billion plus people in this world, and when something doesn't go exactly the way planned, we go into the mode like, dang, bro, like it's everybody. My teacher didn't believe me. They didn't believe. I'm like, hold on. You can still not get the role when people believe in you. You could have said, hey, G Hill, my schedule is not. I can't really do an interview now. Come back to me in 2021. OG, like 5 years ago, I would have been like, man, bump that, bro. Like, people get like, like, no, I ain't like, no, like we did a million
about it.
Yeah, bro. Like, no, see, and I would have been like, I was the guy. I was putting subs on Instagram, not like at people. I'll be in my I'll play them, the stuff. You put the music in the background, and
people.
I just do. I was smooth with it. I put the music in the background and be like, and just be vibing, and the music would kind of amplify what I felt. I still do that low key, but then when you realize, like, gee, hold up, bro, like without context, it's like, yo, I just got out of jail, or I got to season 2 and I got to really focus on my acting stuff now, and I'm not doing press, or I'm just not in an emotional space to really deal with people that I kind of know you, but I really don't, so I'm not there, and that's real. Like, you have to, people got to respect that about individuals.
You have to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, respecting. I mean, it's, again, like you said, it's just so, this particular industry, there's so many things going on. There's always a million things happening at once, and you just never know. And also, people protecting energy, I think, is kind of what you hit on in the last bit of that was, it's really critical. And I can't express it enough to have some kind of spiritually or wellness practice when you're when you're in this.
Our next,
there's so many things that we can take personal.
Yeah, our next interview, I gotta get you on the show again, because I really want to dig deep on some stuff that we don't have the time to, because it's so, especially in entertainment, where it's really, I always curious people that have a spiritual background, have that are opposed to the energy, and it's like, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, going to Hollywood's weird, man. Being in LA and interfacing with some of these celebrities and stuff like that, I'm like, a lot of these people are weird, man. And, you know, and weird, of course, is different than Lotus, because I mean, what weird to me from a North Carolina Durham boy may be different for somebody that's in California. But I mean, I've seen some stuff, and I'm not even there. That. And I'm like, bro, is this normal? Is this how y'all really move? Like,
is this how y'all give it up?
Yeah, like I'm like, bro, like, and I know you, and then we're not going to talk on camera about it, but I know you've seen things, especially it's the industry. I'm like, man, how do people stay solid in an industry that's so devilish at some points? Like for real. But that's a whole different
wickedness permeates in a lot of spaces, especially these days. But
yeah, man.
Yeah. Thankfully, I haven't really come close to a lot of that. Yeah. I mean, not much of that at all, honestly.
Yeah,
and I think it has everything to do with like already having people, so I didn't have to go search and seek out new people. And like Howard is abundant, you know, here and everywhere. So I have a lot of family, theater family, and then an actual family here in LA. So that was nice.
Man, that's perfect. And real quick, what is some advice that you would give to aspiring actresses? So let's not even talk about the men. For women in general, let's talk specifically Black women that are looking to get into space. And this is evolved. This is specifically for actresses, not like people in lighting and production, but actresses. What would be some quick things that you would share with them, judging from your experience?
Yeah, quick things that for aspiring actors, actresses. I honestly believe that Black women in particular, should write the things they want to be in. Like, I've watched it happen. I've watched it work. I've done it myself. But like, we are so complex as everyone is. But I think the complexity and the multifaceted nature of Black women has yet to be fully explored on camera. And that's why I think Issa made Awkward Black Girl that later on became Insecure, right? Like, where was the awkward Black girl, you know, that was a millennial living in the world? She wasn't. It was the millennial who had everything together because she was fresh out of law school and she just had everything, right? And that's a person too. But I think it's really critical for us to create the world and create the pictures of ourselves that we know most intimately, and then, you know, use that to share our own stories. But also, I think, you know, I think it's a beautiful time now, because even when I was at Howard, I was like, I can't wait to wear my afro on the red carpet, because I didn't see anybody wearing afros on the red carpet. But now, you know, that's a norm. You know, it's literally quite literally a norm. And that's a really good thing. And I just think, and you can wear your afro, you can also wear your Remy down to your butt. Like, you know, you can wear it all.
Yeah.
And that is the multifaceted nature of Black women, right? Like, you also don't have to be one woman or one girl or another. You could be that girl on Monday, the afro on Tuesday, and a cute little bob on Friday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think, you know, embracing the fullness of who we are is our job. And then it's our torch to lead and carry with.
And we got 11 minutes, so I'm a land this plane as I typically do. So as we look about, there's two things I want you to answer, and I'm just gonna ask them both at once, so I'll let you cook on them. What are you most excited about as far as in the future for you? And then, actually, three. Let's do three, and you three, and hopefully you can get it done in 4 minutes, right? What are you most excited about in the future for you, right? If you had to give advice to the 18-year-old version of yourself, what would you say? And then the last one is, what do you want your lasting legacy to be?
Yeah. Advice to the 18-year-old version of myself would be to write these ideas down, and just to journal. Honestly, I wish she journaled more, because I'm just curious. Like, I learned so much from the things that I did right, and the audacity that I had as an 18-year-old or younger. I feel like I would learn a lot from her because, like you said, the world can take away so much from you, that innocence from you. And so but honestly, like I said, those aha moments came when I was 16 years old. The audacity to like say, I'm gonna go to Yale came when I was 17. You know what I mean? So like, if I wrote more, if I could get into more of her headspace, that would be great. So I could read it. So like, write, girl, write those journals. To what was the third question?
What are you most excited about as far as in the future? Like, what's exciting?
What's exciting for me is being able to do, to flow, and fly within what I understand right now. Like the understanding that I came to in the first 6 months of this year, and the expansion that occurred, and just being still and accepting all the parts of me, and then allowing them to be expressed in every way, physical manifestations within my work as an artist. So I'm really excited to act in a major motion picture that will require all of my training. Like that's coming. I'm manifesting that, and it's coming. But I'm also excited to expand as an entrepreneur, expand my production company that I'm launching this year. I'm excited to turn 30 and figure out what 30s are all about. And
it's going to be a game change. 30, that's when everything clicked. It's like, it makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense, or then it can be challenging for some, but we don't got a pie. That's a whole different story. And then the last question is, what do you want your lasting legacy to be when it's all said and done? Not to get morbid. What do you want? What do you want people to say, and how you want to be remembered?
I want to my life to be an example of living freely and honestly and earnestly. And if I can do that for myself, then I know that my life will be a representation that is possible, and that it is worth taking the time to do, not conforming to anything, but rather expanding into who you are, and sharing that light, because I think that's what we're here to do.
Bang, bang. That's the show title. Share your light. That's the episode title. God, boy, the spirit be talking. Bam,
okay, cool.
Bam. And then we got our 5 rapid fire questions, and then hopefully we get rapid fire answers. Then we close the show. You ready?
Yeah.
What's
absolutely.
the best piece of advice that you have never received?
Best piece of advice I've never received was to, create your own definition of what success is.
If you can add one habit and take away one habit, what would they be?
If I could add one habit, it would be to journal daily. And if I could take away one habit, it would be to stop holding my breath. It's something I've gotten better at, but inspiration, the literal definition of inspiration is to take in air, and divine air, and divine knowledge comes in as well as a divine knowing. And so I think the breath and divine knowing are connected, and so I would stop holding my breath.
I love that. You deep. Who are your top who are your top 3 actors or actresses, and why?
Oh God.
Put you on the spot. They gonna remember this too. You bump into them. You're like, yo, I would listen to this podcast with this dude with the high energy. Like, I went in the top 3. Like, what's up?
Listen. I will always defer to what has always been like on my wall. Angela Bassett. She was Tina Turner. Like, I remember seeing the picture. People, like, oh, that's Tina Turner. I thought that was Tina Turner. Angela Bassett, and Meryl Streep, and Tom Hanks.
Okay. In person, we can hopefully.
I'm always moved by those people.
Yeah, Tom Hanks, man, he's a different dude, man. Different dude. What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is allowing fear to consume me, to be halted by it, to stop my greatness because of it, because of fear.
And if you were the president of the United States, what's the first thing you would do?
I would, if I was the president of the United States, I would make sure everybody could cast a vote. I would make sure everybody could cast a vote. But more importantly, I would create some kind of legislation and mandate for a very critical conversation and earnest conversation and fact-based conversation about our country's history with race and racism and oppression, beginning with the inception of America, with the natives and the slave trade and where we are right now. So we could just put it behind us, move on.
Yeah, nah, that's really real.
I mean, there's other countries have done it, and I think we should just go ahead and do that and see what 2021 and the future actually has for us.
Yeah, I'm still tripping off the fact that really they've really enlarged the map of America to be just as big as everywhere else. I'm still just tripping off some of the craziness, but that's a whole different conversation. I'm still tripping off that.
It's bizarre. But imagine that power. Like, imagine if we actually were taught the truth about our experiences here in America. We actually would be closer as an American people, not further apart. All of us.
That's it, man. And then so we're done with that. Everybody that ever comes on our show is a culture change agent. They do their thing, and you're a culture change agent. Yeah. So this last question is this. If you could change one thing about society, most specifically our African-American culture, what would it be and why?
Yeah. If I could change just magically, does it have to be actual? Nice. If I could magically change anything about our society, particularly as it pertains to African-American culture, I would eradicate the idea that race, that Blackness is dangerous, that is inferior, that it is unworthy in the minds of non-Black people, and most especially in the minds of Black people. I'll just let it go.
Man, that's well, that's a wrap, man. I sincerely appreciate you giving your time. I know your schedule's hectic to really break bread and be here, be present. I appreciate the background, like the vanilla sky with the blue touch background. I don't know what y'all got cooking over there.
It's my Carolina blue sky.
Yeah, like I'm like, bro, like, yo, I need to grab one of them. My producer here is actually here. And he's at my house right now. So I said we working on getting this set up straight, whatever, man. But I appreciate you. Where can people find more information about you, your upcoming projects, and all that good stuff before we close it out?
On all social media, Lauren E. Banks, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I have a website. That's where you can find me.
And all that will be in the show notes. And make sure you put the E in the middle. I hate when people like see Greg Hill. I don't. My name is Greg E. Hill. It's the E. It's the E. It's the E.
Oh, what's your E stand for?
Edwin.
Edwin, lovely.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. I think it's something. I got to figure that out. Like, I got to get offline and figure that out.
Yeah, figure that out.
Yeah. So Minority Trailblazer Nation, you already know every episode what we do, man. First, number one, leave a review. 5 stars or nothing. It ain't 5 stars. You can send whatever you got to say. If it ain't 5 stars, send it to my email so I can look at it. And I'm probably not going to reply, but I might reply. Who knows? But don't, 5 stars or nothing. And number 2, as always, make sure you changing the freaking culture. Good night.